sure. Just go.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Mediocre Alaskan podcast. I'm Abby Lund and I'm here with my husband Jeff. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks for having me on here, Abby.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about last month or so we spent together on Prince of Wales. Is that right?
Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. It's weird. Like, podcasts are just having conversations, but it is a show. Like, it's going to be consumed by other people.
Yeah.
Like when you watch hunting shows, everyone knows that it's a show or that it's a video.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be totally authentic or totally candid because you know that there's a camera there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, now I'm self-conscious because now I know it's a show.
You didn't know it was a show before?
Well, I mean...
Or podcast, episode? Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
So what were your, I guess 3 best parts of Prince of Wales? This is the longest you've been on the island. You're working for most of it, but at least for the weekends and stuff. We kind of had plans of stuff we wanted to do all summer. And we got to some of that stuff. What were some of the 3 best things about Prince of Wales?
3 best things. I mean, it was all fun. It was definitely fun to see it in a different light than usually we come here for a week or 2 and we do our float and our hunt and our fishing and we kind of have a little program in August. But being here in April and May and June is pretty different and you get to see a different side of town and different things are in season, so that was fun. Probably, I mean, staying out at the Point Amagura cabin, that was a lot of fun. And I think just generally, it was a lot of fun being out here without any pressure to catch fish or hunt, because we got to just kind of explore and just, go up on, this was kind of tied to my job too, because I'd go out every day and just drive to new locations and dig soil pits or make plant lists, and it was fun, and to learn more about what's on this island and see things that aren't necessarily highlights, but that you feel like on one of my sites that I went to, I found a landslide that was hidden back in there, which sounds totally lame. But to a soil scientist, when you get sent out to a unit and you find a landslide, that validates this is why I'm here. It's just cool. And so just being able to explore and see different things that I don't usually see was a lot of fun.
Yeah. When we came last August, what do you have, 10 days or something like that? It was... We wanted to hunt and we wanted to float, and it was weather dependent, and it was just jam packed, and you didn't really have time to just kind of hang out and relax.
Yeah.
And see other things and pick up things that maybe weren't on the radar. I think one of the coolest things has been doing the sea asparagus. Went and got 2 gallons today, and just cool stuff like that. Just part of the experience. You have the time to be able to pick up those things and do some of the big things like salmon fishing, whatnot. Got your first king.
That's true. I did catch my first king, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. How was that experience compared to what you thought?
Well, the first day we went out to kings, that we went out to fish for kings, it was awesome because we got 3 kings trolling in, maybe 4 or 5 hours? Maybe even less?
Yeah. We knew it was going to be pretty rough on the outside, so we tried to save gas by staying inside. And there was a spot that a whole bunch of people were at, and we did a long, long drag in that area because everybody had caught a couple there. And so we're just hoping to kind of get one there and maybe have one of those bargain days. But when we didn't catch one there, and then we kind of crept toward the outside and then got to a point well, we're almost here now. We might as well just go.
Yeah.
So at that point, I think we were 2 or 3 hours in. And once we got to the outside, it wasn't very difficult. So, yeah, I think you're right. It was 3 to 4 hours to get them. But once we got to the spot, if we would have just gone there in the first place, we may have gotten them real quick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so that day met expectations for sure, and I was like, whoa, fishing on Prince of Wales is awesome. This is so cool. But then our other 2 days were a little bit slower, and it was like, it almost made it that much more frustrating because the first day had been so good. But that's how fishing goes, I guess. You have good days and
I think that's kind of the frustrating thing for guides and locals is that they've had those days where they're almost picking through fish because you're getting a lot of smaller fish.
mm-hmm.
The second day that we went out, had a fish that was a half-inch short of the keeping
That's
limit,
true. Yeah.
and we got that in the first 10 minutes, and so we thought, okay, this is going to be fine. This is going to be one of those days where, there's going to be fish here, and we're just going to, it's going to happen. But that was the only king that we caught.
Yeah.
And then, our buddy who'd fished that same spot a couple days before, they'd caught, multiple kings. I'd let some go because they were too small. But yeah, it seems very, very temperamental, very hot, very cold, fishing wise. And that's, you look at it through the lens of the last couple of years, or you widen the lens and you look at what were things like 15, 20 years ago, and you think, man, things are bad. We were looking at that newspaper clipping from 1996, the year that my brother graduated.
Yeah.
And the Craig Klawak King Salmon Derby, the leaders, there was 2 fish that were above 50 pounds. And this was the last week of May.
Yeah.
So this is still pretty early. So 2 or 3 fish that were above 50 pounds, and every other fish was 35 or above.
Yeah.
And now, it just restarted because I think it's still May, June, and then July, August. But the leader is like 32,
Okay. Yeah.
35, something like that.
On the leader, Father's Day was like 36, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as big, but
It's cool that they did it. I do like that they had this. The Father's Day one it was a 1 weekend derby for men, and then the next weekend it was a weekend derby for women. So that was kind of a cool additional type thing. So
yep.
I don't know. The winner was 36 for the guys. What was the big for the weekend for the women?
Well, I thought the winner for just the weekend was like 27.
27 for the
men.
women?
No, for men. Right? Wasn't it? Was it not Doug?
I think it was Doug. Yeah, 27.
Yeah. Women, I'm not sure. I know Doug's wife was in the lead at one point, but she did not win.
Yeah, and that was at 18 or.
And his daughter said, "That's good. That would have gone to his head too much."
Yeah, 18 pounds is a nice fish, but when you are aware of what things were, and I've been out fishing with Abe where we were just getting 30 to 35 pounders, and it was one of those years where residents could keep 2, and we were just, this thing's like 28 pounds, we can go a little bit bigger, and we did, so you release that one, and then you get a bigger one, and
yeah,
and it was the point too, like where you, rather than bring it on and like weigh it and then let it go, we weren't even putting it in the net. Some of those we just kind of get the gaff, and then you grab the line, and then you use the gaff to get the hook out by adjusting the angle so the fish kind of falls off the hook. And so we weren't like netting the fish and weighing them and letting them go, or handling the fish. But yeah, it's just being able to sort through fish and then take home the ones that are like 35 to 40 pounds. It's just crazy. And that doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but it doesn't take much for things to switch. Yeah. But you catch your first kings. It's just, this is an awesome experience. And if you don't know any better, if you've come up here and this is the first time that you've made this trip happen, it's still the trip of a lifetime. You're still getting halibut, lingcod, king salmon, you probably don't want to hear stories about how things used to be better because
that's not how they are anymore. So lower your expectations, people.
Doesn't matter to me. Like people come up here just to do cruises. People come up here just to hike. People come up here to just see it. So the fact that you do get to fish, I mean, that's pretty, that's pretty awesome. And next year the fishing could be amazing. And then once the silvers start showing up, like then it's just an absolute fishing bonanza. And that's where things really, you get a lot of the charter outfits that are super, super busy this time of year when the cohos start showing up. And oh man, it's hard when you're in the cohos and you can't even drop down 20 feet until you're hooked up. And I've had a couple of days with my buddy Howie where we had to kind of slow down a little bit and just kind of see and enjoy this, and like just use a herring head, just see if you can catch them on that. And you just always wish you had a fly rod too, because if they're up on the surface like that and they're 5 to 10 feet down, you think a sink tip and then fighting one of those ocean fresh things on a fly rod would be so fun. So the silver fishing in late July, mid-July, August is so much fun out in the ocean, and then of course in the rivers. So this place is crazy. Mm-hmm. All those rivers with the silvers, it's something else.
Yeah. So you having spent a lot more time on Prince of Wales than I have, what would you say has been your favorite part of the summer over here?
I don't know, I get kind of maybe embarrassed that I haven't done a lot of the things. Like my lack of knowledge when it comes to something like the Honker Divide. The I think it's the 30-mile canoe trail that I haven't done that. Brother and I have talked about that for the last, I think even when we were in high school, we were talking about doing it, but we just still haven't done it. And it's right here. People from down south come up here and they do that. They're more interested in doing an epic canoe trip on Prince of Wales than they are really going out and fishing too much. And they've done it and we haven't. So I'd already been out to Amagura, so being out there again was really cool. But still, some of those cabins that I haven't been to. We used to go to Sweetwater and Staney Creek growing up, so been to those, and that's a lot of fun. But there's a lot that haven't done. I hit the same spots on the Thorn because it's good. We went to the Dolly Hole today with Steve, the Dr. Pilot. We had a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
Tons of dollies. Like it'd be hard to find a better spot to catch dollies on the island, except for another spot that we know about. So I might as well go to those same spots. They're productive.
Yeah.
But there's still just so much to do and see on the island that I get kind of embarrassed when, like, you ask about, well, how's this one? I'm like, oh, actually, I've never been there. All the time that I've spent here, I moved here or my family moved here when I was 5.
Yeah.
And I haven't done this stuff,
But you get into those routines and you have a good time, and so then you're like, well, why would I do something else?
Yeah. That was part of it. It was, why would I want to go to Staney Creek when I know the Thorn's hot right now? Or steelhead fishing, when one of the rivers has steelhead, why would I not keep fishing it? Why would I go to this other river and try to figure it out when I know this one has steelhead? So,
yeah.
I don't know. That's the way it is. But it's fun too. I spent a lot of time up here by myself because I had to come home every summer. And so I just kind of do everything on my own terms. And I have a whole bunch of friends from California that had come up, teacher friends. And so it was kind of, that was definitely a routine too. They wanted to go up to Whale Pass. They wanted to snag silvers because it's so lawless and so unlike anything they can experience, especially if they hadn't really fished. So they go from not fishing to being able to just lay into these fish legally and, catch 6 of them. So all of a sudden they're bringing meat home and they get to snag them. They just love that so much. And so that was a lot of fun to watch them do that. And obviously I was way better than they were at that. So I kind of lost my passion for it and my excitement about it, but it was so fun to see those other people really just get after it and see them excited about it. And so that was kind of the routine for a while. It was, I'd trout fish by myself, and then buddies would come up and we'd snag silvers. We'd go to the ocean a little bit, and just a ton of fun. And now it's cool being up here with you when there's a variety of different things that we want to do, like the Forest Service cabins, like get some sea asparagus, and that was it. Spicy Korean. Like, what was the first?
I just put some like chili garlic sauce on them, and it was pretty good.
It was real good. And then the pickled asparagus is really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like experimenting, and sometimes it turns out well, and other times it's like, well, probably won't do this again, but.
Yeah, we got that. You got that nice chum. And we ate some of the chum eggs. We had it for breakfast, right? Was it rice, chum eggs?
Yeah, okay. You don't need to tell people we ate it for breakfast.
No, but what else did we have? There was 3 things.
The pickled sea asparagus.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
Pickled sea asparagus,
now
rice,
we sound
and
like
chum
weirdos.
eggs. It would be difficult to find a breakfast meal that feels heartier and healthier than that.
Well, that's kind.
Those eggs were rich.
Yeah, super rich.
But it was good. It felt healthy. It wasn't weird and gross.
Mm-hmm.
You could taste the eggs kind of pop, but it
And
wasn't like this explosion of salt or seawater or anything
yeah,
gross or
and like
even
no
yolky.
fishy flavor.
No fishy flavor
But
at all.
I mean, I felt full all day.
Yeah.
It
You
was
talk
very
about
rich.
nutrient density.
Yeah,
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 I felt that I was getting all of the nutrients I could ever want from that breakfast.
yeah,
Not sure that I'm ready to make that my favorite over like a chorizo and eggs, but
yeah. That's fair.
yeah, that's one of those things. Not having chum eggs that of all the years that I've lived up here, not trying that, but that was
Yeah,
cool. Asparagus,
that's a keeper.
that's a keeper. That is a keeper.
Mhm.
Had some White King with asparagus.
Mhm.
That's real good.
Yeah.
What are some? I don't want to talk trash about the island, but what are some things that maybe didn't live up to the hype? We talked a little bit about the king salmon, and anybody who fishes ever wants bigger fish, more fish. And we talked a little bit about
Mhm.
there's some kings in decline. There's a lot of talk about what might be happening. Is it saltwater stuff, freshwater stuff? It's probably a little bit of everything. But was there anything
Mhm.
else about Prince of Wales that kind of surprised you as far as I don't know, expectation versus reality?
Yeah, I mean, I think people in touristy areas are probably seeing this all over the country this year. But I think maybe especially on Prince of Wales, it's a massive island. I mean, one of the biggest islands in the U.S. But it still felt like a little crowded almost, and I think it's because it's in Alaska. You can access a lot of remote spots. It's been put on the map, and yet you can still drive everywhere. And then we were also talking today about how because of COVID, it's maybe still kind of a hassle to go overseas. So we might be seeing um, more tourists in Alaska than really is hopefully the standard in coming years. Or we might just have an increased tourism industry on Prince of Wales, which is not the end of the world. Like, we went to our favorite little dolly spot today and we're the only ones there, on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely, you feel more pressure for sure, I think.
Yeah.
So,
And it's funny too when we look at some of the stuff that we did last 3 summers down in Wyoming. We'd go on these hikes and the path is just worn down a foot into the earth and
yeah.
there's people everywhere, just trains of people. And you expect that a place where you could get away from that would be a place like Prince of Wales. And so we see some people on some of the hikes we've been on, but it still seems to be like a little bit more than you'd expect. But that also speaks to a lot of the locals being out and active too. So we saw
Mm-hmm.
some locals doing some of the hikes, and then
Yeah.
you do see people camping, and the ferries coming over from Ketchikan are just booked with people. So there's a lot of people around, and that's just the way it is because there is a road system, and
Yeah.
it's still nothing at all compared to what we saw last year in the Kenai
Mm-hmm.
Peninsula. That was crazy, the amount of people.
Yeah.
And that was the
Well,
year we thought
yeah.
there might not be as many because of
Well, there definitely were not
2021.
as many, I
Yeah.
think,
And it
but
was June, but
yeah.
yeah, it's on that's the delicate thing, and talking to DJ a little bit about it is that you want this place to stay pristine. You want it to have the fish populations and the deer populations and this idea that you have these secret spots that other people don't know about. But at the same time, one of the main economic forces is tourism. We don't
Yeah.
have the logging that we did, and that's probably a good thing for the overall health of everything. Salmon
Mm-hmm.
spawning streams. You got to have that old growth for deer. Um, so there has to be something. So you can't have it both
Mm-hmm.
ways. Same thing as
No.
Ketchikan. You can't say that you hate the cruise ships and you hate it's madness and I wish the cruise ships would go away because, well, do you want to have nice sidewalks? Do you want to have, all these nice things that we have in Ketchikan? Well, then we have to
No.
tolerate the cruise ships. So same thing over here. So there's a way that it can be done to where it doesn't totally sacrifice. You don't lose your identity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of people around.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that people don't find, and it's kind of informed how I try to travel, is you can come up to Alaska, you can come up to Prince of Wales every week or every year for a week or 2 weeks and really not see some of the coolest parts of the island because you don't know the people.
Yeah.
The the way the locals here treat each other. It's not overall. I mean, obviously there's bad people,
Mhm.
horrible stories of people being bad to other people, but just the kindness that people share. Um,
Mhm.
when you live
Yeah.
on an island like this and you get through the winters together, and it's a lot smaller than Ketchikan. I say the same thing about Ketchikan, about how, you get through the winters together, and that's a big thing. Well, Craig's got 1,500 people. Kawaka has 700 people. Like, it's a lot smaller. You don't have gathering places, so you just kind of help people out, and people are very, very kind and
Mhm.
very grateful to my parents for being such uh, liked people as teachers, and so
Yeah.
a lot of their friends have now extended that kindness to my brother and me when we come back. So that's what makes the place really, really special. It's not just about the fish and the bear and the deer and everything else. Like, it's also the quality of person who lives here is really, really something that's special. And I know my mom's gonna miss that a lot. That she's now in Tucson full time, sold the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
How would you compare the people type thing or the community compared to different places that you lived? Because Laramie is a kind of a cool community, and
Mhm.
in Lexington, and
Yeah.
or not then, but Lexington, then Laramie, then Ketchikan in here. How would you kind of compare, if you could?
Yeah, I mean I mean there's a lot of different communities on the island, right? And each one kind of has their own little unique thing about them. But I think yeah, they're all cool little communities and um you always make fun of me when I walk around town. Sometimes I don't wave at people, and then
Gotta
like you
wave.
hear about it because
Gotta
someone's
wave.
like, "Oh, I waved at your wife and she didn't wave back," and I'm like, "Ah, oh, gosh darn it!
Yeah.
Gotta wave at everyone in case if they know
Yeah.
Jeff."
Yeah.
Um,
That's the funny thing too, that even the state troopers and the police officers wave as they're driving around. You just
yeah.
wave to everybody, and it's not like that in Ketchikan. People are friendly in Ketchikan. People definitely help you
Mhm.
out, for sure. But yeah, it's funny that like, everybody waves here. You're walking, you wave. Driving, wave.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, but I mean, I think it's like if you picture like a little small town on a sitcom, like that's kind of what we have here is like not I mean, it's not quite like what's that show that you like up in Alaska? Is it
Oh, Northern Exposure.
Northern Exposure?
Yeah,
Like I mean, it's not really like that, but it's like a toned down version of like,
yeah,
the you see the one guy at the working at the grocery store, and then he's also you see him like 10 miles out of town cutting wood, and you see him on the ferry, and
mm-hmm.
you're like, I don't know you, but like I think I know you.
Yeah. You're everywhere. The people who are involved in these communities, they have to have a whole bunch of different roles, and that was one of the things that made it a well liked show, and even by Alaskans too. Like, obviously, it wasn't exact,
Mhm.
but it was supposed to be based on Talkeetna, and it was filmed in Washington, near Clay Ellum, or maybe in Clay Ellum or something like that. But just that whole idea that just the strange, odd way things work, the pace of
Mhm.
life, um, and some of the characters were it was similar,
Yeah. Yeah.
similar, and that was cool. Wow. Expensive. What
Yeah.
is gas? I try
It's
not to look. I just pay. It's like $5.85 for gas. $6.85. $5.85. I don't know.
$6.85, I think. It's a lot.
Yeah, I try not to look. Same thing going to the grocery store. Can of New England clam chowder. Not that I'd buy it, but cans of soup and whatnot, $3.85.
Yeah, it's too much.
Produce is not bad. It's gotten way better than it was. I remember when we first moved up here, just getting bananas that were still yellow was something. For a while, it was you'd buy bananas and they'd go straight to banana bread.
Well, I mean, you can get decent produce here, but you're just like, I mean, one of those bagged salads that I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm looking for those on sale for like 2 for $5.
Yeah.
And here, if you get one under $5, that's like it's on sale half off. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it's one of the trade-offs of living in a place like this. Things are going to be more expensive, but
yeah, with fuel prices and everything coming here on a barge or a plane,
And this is comparatively, if you look at some of those communities up on the Yukon River or the Kuskokwim River, like they get their fuel for the year in August. So I can't even imagine what fuel prices are there for them because you talk about scarcity.
Yeah.
Granted, they're not driving a whole lot, but they have their snow machines, and that's how they get from community to community for basketball trips and things like that. It's taking the snow machines.
Yep.
So I was just so expensive. That's why.
But they probably got all their gas last year at $3 a gallon, so probably hasn't hit them yet.
Maybe.
I'm just kidding.
It could be delayed. Yeah, that's why it's some of a lot of these national type conversations. Alaskans are kind of doing their own thing because it's like it would be really nice if certain things weren't the way they are, but like it's just not realistic here.
Just make it work.
There's just a lot of things that aren't that don't work here. But
and I think if you live here, you learn very quickly. It's like, well, I could complain about this, or I could just accept it and figure out what I'm gonna do about it. How am I gonna make it work?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people here too, for sure, that you see walking the grocery store. That bike around.
Mm-hmm.
We started to see like quite a few e-bikes here this year, which I thought was kind of interesting.
2 is a lot. Like I would see hardly any. So so the fact that there's like 2 or 3 is shocking.
Yeah, I think more than just Anyways, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
People riding bikes, places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now back to Ketchikan.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be good. Get some good hikes. We'll have to do a separate episode in which we start talking about black-tailed deer. I have to preview that season coming up. That'll be fun. I'm gonna really get after it this year. You become a resident mid-August, so that'll be.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Be sweet. Yeah. So looking forward to that. Got caribou hunt in a couple weeks. That'll be a good time. And then this is when things really start going fast. End of July and then August, things really, really speed up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm starting a new job as a botanist for the Forest Service over in Ketchikan, so I'm pretty excited about that. Excited to get out more over there too, and explore and see some new area as well.
Yeah, less time in vehicles, more time in float planes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will call that episode. What are we at here? 294. Crazy.
Yeah.
So make sure you check out themediocrelesson.com. Go to Abby's Instagram. Go to my Instagram. Check that out. That's about it.
That's all I got.
Oh, you should do the closer because you did the intro.
That's okay.
You'll defer the responsibility. All right. Thanks for listening.